Historically, gay bars were one of the few places queer people could openly socialize with one another and embrace their identity free of judgment. While bars are still safe spaces for queer people to meet one another, do they hold the same significance they once did? We now live in a digital world, so with the influence social media and dating apps have on the younger generation, is the first point of contact for gay men on an app or in person?
We met up just to go for coffee, like on a date or just a sort of general meeting before anything else went further, and we just found out that we were both really cool people, and we just ended up being friends from there. And honestly, that's been the most, I guess, impactful for me, because I actually got to have a friend, not just a hookup. They live on another end of town, they go to a different school, they stay in their area most of the time, I stay in mine. I don't think either of us would have met each other without having that little extra push that the dating apps gave us. So in the 80s or in the old queer world, I don't think we ever would have crossed paths.
I've had boyfriends that I've met online who were douchebags, and I've had boyfriends who I've met at a bar who ended up being douchebags. So I think that your persona is objectified online and it is actually seen in person.
All I do is see people doing this all day, non-stop. They got shrugged shoulders. They're trying to get hit by cars crossing the street. Their heads are always in their phones. They react more in a digital way than they do in a personal way. We categorize people online. On the apps, we categorize people. We're less to do that in person, where I can take you at face value and hear the tone of your voice and feel your energy and smell your scent and do all of those things that attract us to you. With the social media and with the dating apps, it's all that's gone, and it's just superficiality, and it's just a presentation of somebody that you're trying to be as opposed to who you essentially are.
It's definitely a beautiful thing to see now that people are owning their identity more. I remember when I was younger, there was like a stereotype or a character mold that we felt we had to represent or fit into, being new to the scene, and we're finding our identity, but also like projecting what we thought we had to be. Now, with so much exposure in media and people being able to talk online and have safer spaces, I see 19-year-olds coming out with such confidence that took me 10 years to get. I remember being at bars and seeing people have to muster up the courage to like go up and talk to someone. Now I see that people can be a little more timid, and they can just make eyes at someone and then pull up their phone, see if they're on one of those apps, favorite them, and then message them later when they're home. But there's also the bravery. Sometimes people can be more articulate when it's premeditated and they type something out, whereas person to person, you kind of really get a grasp of what someone's like.
Like, I've done Tinder, I've done Bumble, and like it's a really good way to meet people. Like, all the gay people I know have Tinder and have Grindr and stuff like that. We've definitely used them a lot more and embraced it, that kind of online culture of meeting people and dating apps. It's not that we're being antisocial and we're not communicating with each other, we're just finding different platforms to communicate. So instead of being like face to face with someone, we're being just as social as we were before. It's just that we're doing it on an app and we don't have to go out all the time. We could stay in my living room and I can talk to a gay person if I wanted to on Tinder, you know?
The fight for queer liberation is not over, and gay bars remain safe spaces for queer people to connect with one another. But the same can be said for the apps. The apps have become so dominant and ubiquitous to the modern dating experience. Even at a bar, it's hard not to see someone on their phone messaging somebody on Tinder or seeing who's meters away on Grindr. With the magnitude of influence dating apps have, queer people no longer have to rely on physical spaces to meet one another. But that's not to say bars like this one, where people meet in person, should replace them.
When I see 19-year-olds walking into a bar in drag, when I see trans children coming to drag brunches, when I see all these different types of walk of life feel empowered and their voice is actually heard, it goes way beyond pouring something into a cup, but beyond putting something on a plate. There's a space where someone can just be themselves, and if I'm a part of that, that's just cool. That's really cool.